Oh My Sweet Alien is a seinen manga that was published in Fellows magazine, now known as Hata, from the 15th of April 2009 to the 15th of July 2015, created by Koji Miyata. You've heard this one if you're an avid manga/anime fan. Normal person finds potential lover or friend, or sometimes a bit of both, that is different from everyone else, has to hide their true identity, hijinks nearly every chapter or episode, maybe some conflict, but for the most part, a feel-good time. In the case of Oh My Alien, normal bloke named Noble gets abducted by aliens, spots the cutest female alien, asks her to marry him, and she does just that. They have a kid, meet her parents, and this all happens in the first 3 parts of the first chapter. In short, 11 chapters split into 3 parts with 8 pages each, and it's in 2 volumes unless you buy the omnibus English release. The manga is a romantic comedy, though the humor comes from the wife trying to be the best human she can despite her alien quirks. But when having to blend with human society, she wears a skin suit, and this is where the nudity comes into play. Now, it's more played in a tongue-in-cheek manner, but that's more rare than common. Though with the baby in the household, they can't get too greasy, if you know what I'm saying. So if you're not a fan of fan service, you might tolerate this. There's many scenarios you'll get with this manga, some normal with an alien twist like the main couple going on a midnight date, the wife trying to talk to other women with kids when her child named Asura keeps acting up with his own quirk, the wife getting drunk and almost revealing herself to Noble's workmates, 2 other sibling aliens trying to get with the main couple and failing to a predictable result, all 4 of them having to then rescue Asura from a giant blob monster, but eventually the main couple keep it as a pet, and many more. Noble is seen as the everyman, has a job, maybe some work friends, loves his wife, his child, tries to help the alien waifu from getting exposed, and in turn tries to learn from her previous alien lifestyle. But for all their differences, they bond really well, and Noble, despite one alien trying to get in his pants, is dedicated to his wife, good bloke. The alien waifu has no name other than Mrs. Maccabee. She's more humanoid than most, because if you want this manga to be readable by most, she has to at least look like us, only she has spaghetti hair that are also extra hands, sparkly bulging eyes, sea monster limbs, and a female torso. In fact, the alien siblings Ichimaru and Madoka also look more human than alien. Yeah, these aliens come from outer space yet have Japanese names, okay? But yeah, waifu's cute, tries her best to be a good housewife and mother despite her quirks. Good woman. But don't want to know what else she uses those tentacle locks for. I like the art, it's clean, easy to read, great compositions, nice character designs, and it has some great expressions, especially from Noble, and he needs to with all the alien stuff happening around his wife and others. Oh My Sweet Alien is a nice little read, though it does at times feel generic in tone despite its sci-fi elements. I feel it had a lot of potential, a mix of slice of life stories mixed with sci-fi craziness gives you a lot to work with, and it's a shame we didn't get more of this. Unfortunately, a few months after the ending of this manga, Koji Miyata passed away at the age of 34 due to hypertensive cerebral hemorrhage, a manga that left this world way too early. Please treat them with respect, they work really hard. At the very least, he left us with a few more works to read, provided they've also been translated into English. If you want to read Oh My Sweet Alien, Yen Press released an official English translation of it in 2018, and since it's an obscure manga, it shouldn't be too hard to pick up. Kuzuryu, or Hydra, is a seinen manga that was published by Manga Allman from the 1st of October 1997 to the 3rd of June 1998. It was written by Sei Ikeda, whom I can't find anything else he wrote, but the more notable person involved was the artist Tetsuo Hara, and if you've already seen the main character, I think most of you know what he did. Yep, you got the man who illustrated Hokuto no Ken, or Fist of the North Star in English, and with that, you know it's gonna be manly as fuck, and by goodness is it ever a manly affair. I mean, just look at the front cover. You got Kenshiro with a gun, strangled in a shitbag, his bulging muscles so glorious the title had to cover one of his biceps because some people may not be able to handle it. The main character is literally staring down at you with his pistol on hand. He's out for the kill and he's coming for you. Now that's how you sell a manga right there. Why hasn't this been officially released in English again? The plot is relatively simple. Our main character is Yomi, an ex-police officer whose parents were murdered by the Yakuza, leaving his sister to see the carnage and becomes a lifeless doll, unable to do anything for herself. So Yomi joins the Yakuza group who ruined his life in a bid to get revenge on them. Also, there's a gun involved that embodies all the sheer amount of violence you see in this manga, but I'll get to that in a bit. Actually, the plot is so simple, I'll explain it right now. Okay, so the first page is this. The very first page alone will either sell you on it or put you off. Either way, violence is happening, and it's all because of this gun. The PK-99, also known as Hydra. It can fire scattershot bullets at incredible speeds, deemed a bazooka that's small enough to hide in your pocket. When you fire at someone, part of a shipbag's body's remains will probably be sent to the whole of the Asian continent. Heck, Hydra is so OP that you don't have to be accurate to kill someone. It can only be used by the most masculine of men, and need 2 muscular arms to use it. But Yomi, being the main protagonist and embodying Kenshiro, can use 1. Oh, did you know it was named after the serpentine water monster in Greek mythology, given the multiple heads it has? I guess that makes sense, so fuck it. Yomi isn't Kenshiro, the gun is Kenshiro. Look at this mess, a free lobotomy for every shitbag. Tetsuo Hara did a good job at making striking art when it comes to the Hydra. The art drawn where the guy fires his weapon is great. You can see the man struggling to compose himself. The bullets flying towards the reader, and Osaki is drawn well too. You can feel the speed of them. Oh, another fun fact, this gun was modded from a shotgun the US Army developed. Of course the US built this beast! It was even to the point that the FBI confiscated it. And you get to understand all that within the first chapter. Okay, I think a lot of people are probably asking why I'm talking so much about this gun. Well, because this gun has more depth, personality, and character building than every other human in this manga, including the main character. Yomi is a manly bloke who's out for revenge and is frustrated at the law not protecting the innocent, who have no way to be safe against the criminal scum who walk the streets. Keep your politics out of my comment section, please. He also went to America to study in all forms of martial arts to make sure he's hard to kill. I mean, he isn't as OP as the gun as we see in later chapters, but he's still likable in that you want to see him get his revenge. Though as a result, he's not the most deep character, but for this manga, it's not needed. The only prominent female character is the equivalent of a blow-up doll. The main bad guys are Yakuza and act like it and just want power because they're the Yakuza. And when Yomi does get his revenge, he has to then deal with a government conspiracy that threatens the lives of Japan itself. It tries to do more than it really should, but it only has 9 chapters, just 1 volume. It's a very quick read due to the plot being easy to follow, so the pacing is very fast. There's an action set piece every chapter. This ain't Attack on Titan where you get 10 chapters where shit ain't happening, because Hydra doesn't need an intricate plot. It needs shootouts, violence, manliness, and a bloke who looks like Kenshiro. And by the way, this wasn't a completely shit on AOT, it's a decent manga, so calm down. The art is bloody awesome. When Tetsuo Hara is involved, prepare for manliness in every page. The characters are all built like a brick shithouse as they should be. The 2 prominent female characters look gorgeous, as expected of Hara at this point. Action scenes are fun, nonsensical at times, and sometimes reminds me of the shit Kenshiro would do in Hokuto no Ken, like tapping a man's arm and turning it into silly string, or when he shoves his fingers through a man's throat to strangle him to death because why not? It's all drawn in great detail, including the times when shipbags get eviscerated by Hydra. The paneling is good and the composition of the art is easy to follow. Very uncomplicated, and that's fine by me. Hydra is a straight-to-DVD style manga whose only goal is to entertain the reader and nothing more. Great action, gratuitous violence, manly characters, a simple plot, one you can spend an hour reading and you'll be left satisfied. But only if it's to your taste. I fucking love this barrel of madness. I do like that it kind of knows what it is and just has fun with it. It's not trying to be unique or to stand out. You're here for the action, the violence, and it isn't here to send a message other than having to bring justice in your own hands. So it has the same kindred spirit as the Death Wish series, and if I compare your manga to that series, you have my respect. So thanks Ikeda and Hara for bringing this utter nonsense to the pages of a Japanese magazine. If you want to read this, it's been fan translated into English by Illuminati Manga and Hokuto no Gun, because of course the people that translate often obscure stuff, and the Hokuto no Ken series translated this. Dark Cat is an OVA produced by Agent 21 and Nikatsu. It was released on the 28th of November 1991 based on a now obscure manga created by Naomi Kimura that was published from 1988 to 1992. The plot follows 2 brothers who are also cats, Hioi and Ryoi, who might guess go around fighting demons. Though because it's 50 minutes, you have an action OVA that is more meandering than exciting. For the most part, it involves a lovesick boy named Hiroki, a girl who really likes him named Aimi, and another who's disappeared named Sakiho. Hioi and Ryoi investigate a school whilst disguising as students to find some tentacle monsters, and I know what you're thinking and know it's Ryoi who gets the wraparound. There's also the main villain, Juko Kubo, who's voiced by Daisuke Gori, and I love this voice actor's work and it's the best part of this OVA. I don't know what to say, the plot is very thin. There's nothing much to talk about other than giving you spoilers, and I'm gonna tell you all this because I don't want you to waste your time with this. So Aimi really likes Hiroki, and as such having her evil side being manipulated by Jukukubo was the one who killed Sakiko because she wanted her senpai to notice her, then goes Akira on the school premises. Hiroki, for some bloody reason, blames himself for what happened to her, forgives her, and go up in the sky together. The fuck? What a shit romantic plot. So Hiroki and Aimi were childhood friends from a very young age, but by the time they reached high school, Hiroki had his eye on Sakiko, even writing a love letter to her, but she rejected him, resulting in his deep depression. Meanwhile, Aimi just simply wants to help him despite not understanding his feelings. Now, if you were in his shoes, found out that a girl who was your friend for years murdered your crush, in addition to the bullies who bothered you, can't forget about that, what would you do? Heck, even Ryoi shits on the boy for her transformation. Now, we can't blame the cute anime girl for being jealous and spiteful and hid it very well. Blame the red herring who didn't think about her feelings. When was this made? 1991 or 2021? And I know what you're saying, she was manipulated by Jukukubo. And what's his reason for doing all this? Shits and giggles, like, there isn't an interesting reason he's doing this. So without an understandable reason, Aimi is a piece of shit even if you take away the evil manipulation aspect. In terms of action, there's a few fights and all of them are underwhelming. There's an encounter with a monster 16 minutes in, a fight with Jukukubo where Hyoi gets wounded, gets healed, and fights him a second time, and because the budget won't allow it, the fight just cuts away to the conclusion of the romance plot. So what are the main protagonist's abilities? Well, they can turn into cats and back to humans at will. They fight by swiping at things but never work, so they have a lightsaber and that usually works, but there's not enough fights to let the main protagonist show off what they can do. And then there's the animation. It's dreadful. In short, still frames for long periods of time. It's animated in a way that minimizes as much movement from characters as possible, especially when the lack in fight scenes are shown, resulting in a very boring experience. The character designs are alright, some look better than others. Jukukubo has a decent design, all things considered, but his transformation to this makes him look cute than threatening. What an absolute downgrade. The tentacle monster design sucks. It's a blob, wriggles around, and the body horror was way tamer than I thought it would be. The way the bullies and Aimi, for example, get torn asunder by their transformations look okay, but there's no blood. I was surprised by that. Hyoi bleeds blue, but it's not excessive. But in the case of Aimi, we do get to see some titties, because to be a vintage OVA, you need to show something to get otaku's yen. Dark Cat is next to boring, if not downright terrible and pointless. You can feel the lack of ambition put into this. The main plot is so underwhelming. It tries to explore themes of evil and how it forms from one person to another, but being 50 minutes prevents it from exploring further, or do anything interesting with it. Or do anything at all. Boring characters, a crap romance plot with a terrible message, bad animation even for the time, and forgettable music. I can't even call it a so bad it's good OVA. There's nothing here to be entertained by, just avoid this one. Not even the prospect of cats can save it. Cutey Honey was a shonen manga originally running in a weekly Shonen Champion from the 1st of October 1973 to the 1st of April 1974. Honey Kisaragi is an android built by her father, Dr. Kisaragi. Honey tries to live a normal life, residing in a private school home to some of the weirdest, meanest and disgusting bitches to this side of Twitter, with one nice girl whom Honey becomes friends with. However, the Panther Claw, a criminal organization, murders Honey's father, which is when she learns that they're out to get her due to her airborne element solidifier, a device which takes airborne particles and converts it to any and all forms of matter, and the Panther Claw wants to use it for their own sinister plans. Honey's goal is to simply defeat the Panther Claw, along with the boss of the organization, Panther Zora, and her sibling, Sister Jill, before they can kill her and steal the device. The device can allow Honey to change into different forms, but her most notable form is Cutey Honey, a heroine who wields a sword and has the strength of 4 men. But she's just as invulnerable as any normal human, as Honey's father made sure of this to keep her humanity in check. It's quite the simple plot. Honey must live a normal life in a school, but also has to play superhero to stop the Panther Claw. She'll defeat the henchmen and eventually each of the main members, who are more or less a monster of the week variety. The way she battles these foes in this regard reminds me of the Super Sentai shows, or Power Rangers because you're not a weeb. She also has a male supporting character, Saiji, who's a bumbling fool, his brother Junpei, and their father Danbei Hayami, based off Daimon from the guy's previous work, Abashiri Family. This manga... it's crap. It's really crap. I feel the manga was more of an advertisement for the anime adaptation that aired around the same time rather than the other way round, which is more common nowadays. But this is why I feel the manga suffers. It feels like the rush basis of what you'll find in the anime rather than its own story in its own medium. In short, the battles are okay, they feel either short, comes to a stop, or feel very one-sided with the random transformations that make it easy for Nagai to get his protagonist out of a sticky situation. How the story flows feels rather pulpy half the time, which is fine and all, but doesn't make the manga very memorable. The tone is all over the place. It wants goofy, gross, and sometimes sexual humor, but it also wants the odd dark, serious, and somber moments. And it never gels together. These moments feel very jarring with every page I turn, and yes, I'm especially talking about the attack on the boarding school. Speaking of, the sexual content comes across as awkward and so go Nagai. If you've seen his ecchi work, you know what I'm talking about. Cutey Honey will be in the nude for most of his manga, and the other shit you'll see makes you wonder how Nagai got away with all of this in a shonen magazine. The most notable moment is when she turns into a statue to hide from a Panther Claw member, and Danbei and Junpei spend 2 chapters feeling her up and doing some other nasty things to her which I can't show you because this is YouTube. In fact, there's a lot of stuff I can't show you without censoring it, and once you look at the female delinquent group and their leader, you will run for the bleach for your eyes. Is this the sister of the ugly bastard trope? And the less I talk about the detective with hemorrhoids, the better. That was fucking disgusting. The art is okay, a product of its time, though there are some awkward proportions of some characters, particularly with Cutey Honey herself, but the compositions are good and each panel flows quite decently. Admittedly, there are some pretty cool artwork that stand out from the rest of the manga, but they're very rare. I'll go to Devilman for the awesome art, and characters, and story. Cutey Honey as is in this manga is not a great piece of work. I do like the plot of a robot girl fighting a criminal organization in a magical girl Super Sentai hybrid. Had it been a shoujo manga like it was intended, it probably would have been a better product, but as is, it's awkward, dated, and feels kind of gross. I don't mind a bit of ecchi myself, but it depends on how you do it. Some can do it well, but not so much here. I've heard from some folks that the anime that aired the same year is the superior version, and I might check it out in the future, but in the case of this manga, best to avoid it. It's seen an English release thanks to 7 Seas, and I have absolutely no qualms of releases of much older manga, regardless of quality and content. We need more Go Nagai releases in English, though in the case of this release, if you are to get it, it's for the history, the legacy, and the origins of a famous Japanese heroine. But to try and enjoy it? Not so much. Bad Police is a 5-chapter miniseries that was published in the late 80s in Weekly Shonen Champion, written and illustrated by Tetsuya Sarawatari. And if you've read obscure manly manga, you may know him for the creation of Tough, Dokuro, and the most well-known Riki-Oh, which got an infamously ultra-violent live-action flick made in Hong Kong. Our hero is Kenji Date, a former biker gang leader who somehow became a cop. But unlike most officers of the law, whenever he has to deal with a dangerous criminal, he'll weapon his custom Python 357. One shot is all he needs to blow off a shitbag's head off. Due to his ask questions never approach, he's been nicknamed the Hyena. But even if his actions make the police force look bad, even to Date's hated pencil pusher Torishima, his war on crime is effective thanks to the decrease of crime. That's the best summary I can give to this manga. Each chapter are episodic in nature save for the first 2 chapters. Chapters 1 and 2 has the brother of a man almost killing the main character as revenge. The next deals with someone killing people in the underworld, which could have been an interesting story, but the ending does fall flat on his face admittedly. The next chapter has Date dealing with a journalist who disagrees with Date's approach to crime because criminals have rights too. You shouldn't kill them. You know better than the criminals you hunt down. You're a very dangerous man.
Stop fucking crying, bitch! Where? I don't wanna fucking hear it!
The final chapter has Date dealing with 2 men, with one of them being mentally challenged and loves playing with his dolly. Look, the point is they get killed by Date because they're criminals. What do you want from this manga? To sum it up, it's Dirty Harry in manga form with extra bloody violence with a sprinkle of shonen goodness that many people love, right? No, seriously, this was published in a shonen magazine, yet it barely even feels like one at all. You won't find this shit in Jump. I like it for what it is, a hyper-violent action police series that's all killer, no filler. It's like Hydra, which I covered a while back, but I feel that manga was written better than this. It ain't perfect, certainly not the best manga out there, but its flaws is why I like it. Some may not like reading the manga where a police officer is brutally gunning down dangerous and violent criminals, and it kind of discusses the moral implications of Date's actions, but like Dirty Harry, it's more of a suggestion. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's an over-the-top 80s action cop movie in manga form. If you're expecting anything else, that's on you. The author made Riki-Oh after all, an admittedly better manga, so you should set your expectations properly. Bad Police was collected in Tankobon form in 1989 and included 2 one-shots. Bomber is about a delinquent deciding to battle the Hong Kong crime organizations to avenge his father. Andy has a robotic arm to punch people really, really hard. And Artemis is about a female detective taking on the task of finding a little boy kidnapped by his grandfather so he can become the next leader of a narcotics mob. They're both good and they do have a lot of potential for full series if it was possible. They're proof of concepts I would like to see again. If you're looking for a manga where the good guy shoots bad guys to where their heads explode and a goofy main character who couldn't give a shit about his reputation, Bad Police is the manga for you. Police brutality has never been never mind. Monkey Punch no Sekai, Alice, is a 45-minute OVA released on the 13th of December 1991, animated by Takahashi Studio and produced by Toho. An elderly mad scientist attacks his lover named Alice after she betrays him by having a fling with a much younger man. He ends up taking her body and spends 60 years converting her into a cyborg so she can please him for the rest of his natural life. After some wacky and sexy shenanigans, she runs away and the mad scientist seemingly dies. But before he croaks, he gives his adopted son, Don Jirocho, a mission to kill Alice. And the rest of the plot is the protagonist trying everything he can to kill her, but constantly failing in the process. Alice is an anime adaptation. The original manga was published in Aiseki Shobo's Eiga fan magazine in 1977. Though unlike most of the Lupin chapters, I wasn't able to find this, let alone find a fan translation of it. Yeah, a ton of Kato's manga have yet to be translated, and as a fan of his work, it can be frustrating. This OVA is in a unique spot as in terms of its art style, humour and adult content, it's the most faithful representation to Kato's work as a whole, and if you've read some of his work, most particularly Lupin III, you can see that throughout the whole OVA. It's not like Lupin anime content at that point where the animators try to be faithful to Lupin's artwork but alter it in some manner. No, this is it. This and the Japanese opening to Crazy Monkey show off Kato's work without too many differences from his manga work. And when I mean his work is faithful, I bloody mean it. You want titties? It's got it in spades. You want sex on screen? It's got it. A woman betraying a man? Yep, it's in this OVA. You got male genitalia shaped like a male sex symbol? That's pretty much Kato to a T. You got some sexual scenes that feel rapey? That's there as well. You got mostly unlikable characters, especially with the likes of the main character, but they have some kind of weird charm to them. This is Kato style on screen. It's amazing. The only way you could properly adapt a Monkey Punch story was to produce an OVA, which is totally understandable. Oh, there's also Jorocho's lackey named Omosa, and he's a discount Jigen, but unlike that hitman, he's just as horny as the protagonist. The plot is a bit weak, starts off intriguing, and becomes an elongated Looney Tunes show whose only saving grace is its humour, and admittedly, most of the jokes are legitimately funny. The highlight being Jorocho having sex with multiple women named Alice to find the one he's looking for. He shacks some cold pussy, alien pussy, pussy from the fourth dimension, and even a transvestite joke because this is still 1991. If YouTube wasn't so restrictive, I could have used that scene from the movie From Dusk Till Dawn where the guy describes all kinds of pussy, but oh well. Anyway, because this is a sex comedy, well, there's plenty of it, mostly from Alice. Oh, speaking of which, Alice's plotline is rather interesting. She walks on alone, helping those in need, is virtually indestructible, and whenever sex is on the table, she has no choice but to smash, as that's what she was programmed to be, a sex robot who has feelings for Jorocho, and maybe some other bloke who wants some robot snatch. This would have made for an interesting series, a man wanting to kill a cyborg woman out of revenge, a woman saving people and fighting evil but has to hunt for some dick on the side. A bit sleazy, yes, but if done right, could be an interesting series. Just don't expect that when Kato is involved. The animation is pretty good, nothing amazing, I thought it would go wacky with character movements and such, but it doesn't subtract from the true Kato experience. The soundtrack is mediocre and forgettable with a lackluster OP, and the ED sucks too. Alice overall is certainly not the best OVA out there, the plot is middling, some of the adult content may be off-putting for most unless you're a hentai connoisseur by trade, but if you've enjoyed the trashy aspects of Kato's manga work along with the art style, humour and sexual content, you might enjoy this, but for me, I found it okay. I wasn't expecting anything fantastical, but I did expect sexual content, and that delivered in spades because this is a Japanese OVA. Watch it where you can find it, it's been translated into English. Lupin content will be released when it's done. No, it's not done yet.